The ground trembles. Thousands of horsemen, an avalanche of steel, descend. Europe's fate hangs in the balance. Below, an empire's final, desperate gamble shatters. An army once unstoppable now faces utter annihilation. For months, a city suffocated. Against overwhelming odds, they endured. Hope, a whisper, became a thundering roar. This is Vienna, 1683. The Ottoman Empire, at its zenith, launched its last colossal push into Europe. For centuries, the Ottoman crescent cast a long shadow across Europe. An empire, vast and powerful, forged in conquest. From the heart of Anatolia, their armies advanced, driven by an unyielding ambition for dominion. They were a military machine unmatched, their janissaries legendary, their siegecraft unparalleled across the world. But one prize eluded them: Vienna, the gate to Central Europe, the very heart of the Holy Roman Empire. Seize Vienna, and the path lay open. A conquest that would irrevocably reshape the destiny of a continent. In 1683, Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha marshaled an army of unprecedented scale. His ambition knew no limits. This was not just an army, it was a nation on the march. A force unlike any Europe had seen. Initial estimates placed their might at 120,000 to 150,000 soldiers, a colossal, overwhelming invasion force. Against this tide, Vienna stood. Its defenders, a mere fraction, prepared for the inevitable brutal confrontation. A city of perhaps 15,000 combatants faced an empire's wrath. The odds were, by all accounts, impossible. For 2 long months, the city endured relentless bombardment and brutal tunneling warfare. A desperate struggle. But across Europe, a fragile hope began to stir. Kings and princes debated, their fears outweighing their divisions. From the north, King Jan Sobieski of Poland answered the plea, forging an unlikely alliance. Europe's last hope. A combined relief army, though still outnumbered, began its arduous march. Time was running out for Vienna. High on Kahlenberg Hill, Europe's diverse forces gathered. Below, the Ottoman siege lines tightened their deadly grip. The true numbers reveal a more complex story. A weary Ottoman force still commanded immense tactical strength. This was the ultimate gamble, a battle that would echo through history, a cavalry charge that stopped an empire. Join us to uncover the incredible story of Vienna 1683, the day Europe stood on the brink and fought back. The late 17th century, a continent fractured by rivalries, its fragile peace constantly threatened from the east. For centuries, an unstoppable force had cast a long, menacing shadow across European civilization's very doorstep. This was the Ottoman Empire, a formidable power driven by an unyielding spirit of expansion and conquest. From Constantinople, the Sultan's will dictated the fate of millions, commanding immense wealth and military might. Their armies, vast and disciplined, had pushed the boundaries of their empire relentlessly, deep into Christian Europe. Each conquest a testament to their military prowess, securing vital trade routes and expanding their vast dominion. From Anatolia to the Balkans, their expansion was a relentless tide that many believed could never be turned back. Their arsenal was state-of-the-art, and their tactics were honed by generations of successful, brutal warfare. This wasn't just an army, it was a well-oiled machine, meticulously organized and ruthlessly effective. At its heart stood the janissaries, an elite infantry, the disciplined backbone of Ottoman military power. Supplementing them were the Sipahis, formidable heavy cavalry, whose charges broke enemy lines repeatedly. Ottoman artillery was among the best in the world, capable of devastating even the strongest fortifications. The logistics behind such a colossal force were astounding, capable of sustaining massive armies for prolonged campaigns. Their reputation for ferocity and efficiency preceded them, often demoralizing enemies before the first clash. From the Balkans to Hungary, the crescent banner had flown over countless conquered cities and battlefields. Yet, one prize eluded them, a bastion of Christendom, a symbol of European resilience. Vienna. Vienna, the heart of the Holy Roman Empire, stood as a defiant bulwark against Ottoman ambition. Its capture would not only secure vast territories, but shatter the morale of a divided Europe. The Ottomans had tried before, failing to breach its formidable defenses. But now, circumstances were different. Enter Kara Mustafa Pasha, the ambitious Grand Vizier, whose grand design would forever change history. His vision was audacious: to seize Vienna, humiliate the emperor, and cement Ottoman supremacy. This wasn't merely a campaign, it was the culmination of centuries of Ottoman expansionist ideology. His motives were a blend of religious fervor, personal glory, and an unshakable belief in his empire's destiny. Europe, already weakened by internal strife, watched in growing apprehension as the Ottoman war machine stirred. Tens of thousands of soldiers, vast supply trains and siege equipment began their ominous march towards the Danube. The stage was set for an ultimate confrontation, a clash that would define the future of two mighty civilizations. The sheer scale of the invading Ottoman army was unprecedented, sending shivers down Europe's spine. For them, this was a holy war, an opportunity to bring the light of Islam to the heart of infidel Europe. For the besieged, it was a desperate stand, a fight for survival, for their faith, and for their very civilization. The world held its breath. The greatest cavalry charge in history was about to be unleashed. While the Ottoman storm gathered, Europe remained a fractured tapestry of rival kingdoms and conflicting ambitions. Ancient feuds and religious schisms carved deep divides, preventing a unified front against the looming threat. Princes and monarchs, blinded by self-interest, squabbled over land and power, deaf to the approaching danger. The continent's strength lay dormant, its potential for a united defense hampered by internal strife and suspicion. A continent paralyzed by disunion stood vulnerable, oblivious to the existential peril on its eastern frontier. Yet, some foresaw the catastrophe. Whispers of a grand alliance began to ripple through concerned courts. Envoys raced across the continent, pleading for aid, forging tenuous pacts against the Ottoman behemoth. Vienna, a beacon of Christendom, stood directly in the path of the relentless, unstoppable Ottoman advance. Leaders struggled to overcome centuries of rivalry, desperately trying to coalesce disparate forces into a viable defense. The effort was agonizingly slow, a testament to Europe's deep-seated divisions, even in its darkest hour. Meanwhile, the Ottoman war machine, a formidable force, was already in motion, its momentum terrifying. Through the plains and valleys, a colossal army advanced, a thunderous tide of disciplined warriors and fearsome cavalry. From the east, a force estimated between 120,000 and 150,000 soldiers surged towards the heart of Europe. This wasn't merely an army, it was an empire on the march, carrying its vast resources and destructive power. Their objective, Vienna. Their resolve, absolute. Their ambition, to break the gates of European resistance. Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha led this overwhelming force, confident in the Sultan's divine mandate for conquest. The Ottoman logistical prowess was unmatched, moving immense siege train and artillery across vast distances effortlessly. Scouts reported a truly unprecedented force, its sheer numbers inspiring dread and despair across the continent. Their relentless march was a declaration, a challenge to the very foundation of Western European civilization. Against this overwhelming tide, Vienna, with its small, exhausted garrison, braced for the inevitable. Inside the city walls, barely 15,000 men, a motley crew of soldiers and citizens, prepared for the onslaught. Every able-bodied man and woman worked tirelessly, transforming their beloved city into a desperate fortress. Fear gripped the city, but so too did a defiant resolve. Vienna would not fall without a brutal fight. Count Starhemberg, Vienna's commander, faced an impossible task: defend against an empire with a fraction of the men. The garrison was small, its resources stretched thin, yet their spirit remained unbroken amidst dire prospects. Then, the first shot rang out. The brutal 2-month siege of Vienna had commenced, a battle for survival. Day after day, the Ottoman cannonades pounded the ancient walls, testing the resolve of every defender. Below ground, Ottoman sappers toiled, planting deadly mines, threatening to collapse Vienna's last defenses. Attrition began its cruel work. Both besiegers and besieged suffered immensely, pushing human endurance to its limits. The siege was a crucible, a grinding war of wills, where every breath was a testament to sheer defiance. The Grand Ottoman Army, a colossal force, now encircled Vienna. A siege of epic proportions was about to begin. Inside, the city's defenders braced. They faced an overwhelming enemy, but their spirit remained unbroken. For 2 agonizing months, Vienna would become an isolated island, completely cut off from the outside world. The Ottoman war machine began its methodical work. Deep trenches snaked towards the city walls, inch by agonizing inch. Gigantic siege batteries rose, a terrifying display of firepower. Their ominous muzzles were trained directly on Vienna. The city was trapped within a deadly labyrinth of enemy earthworks, relentlessly pushing closer with each passing day. Through these elaborate tunnels and fortified positions, Ottoman troops prepared for their brutal, relentless assaults. Then came the thunder. Relentless bombardment began, battering Vienna's ancient defenses with terrifying fury and precision. Inside the city, destruction reigned. Each explosion brought death and despair, shaking the very foundations of Vienna. The air filled with the terrifying scream of incoming ordnance, a constant reminder of the relentless enemy's destructive power. Even under the cloak of night, the bombardment continued. Vienna burned, a beacon of defiance in the darkness. Day and night, the Ottoman artillerists maintained their brutal rhythm, grinding Vienna's defenses into dust. Yet, Vienna fought back. Defenders fired from every position, their dwindling ammunition a testament to their resolve. Against overwhelming odds, every able body worked tirelessly to repair breaches, refusing to yield an inch. Commanders rallied their exhausted troops, their voices hoarse, instilling courage against the inevitable brutal assault. Every cannonball fired was an act of defiance, an echo of Vienna's enduring, unbreakable spirit against relentless attack. Beneath the earth, another battle unfolded. Ottoman sappers dug relentlessly, planning to blow the city walls. Barrels of black powder were meticulously placed, each charge a ticking bomb, threatening Vienna's very existence. Inside the city, special listening posts desperately sought the faint sounds of enemy digging, a race against time. Vienna's counterminers toiled in darkness and claustrophobia, a shadowy war waged beneath the besieged city. Often, tunnels met. Brutal subterranean battles erupted in darkness, fought for inches, fueled by sheer desperation. When mines detonated, sections of the wall crumbled, creating perilous breaches. The city held its breath. Inside, the grim reality of siege tightened its grip. Supplies dwindled. Hunger became a constant, gnawing companion. Disease, fueled by poor sanitation and overcrowding, claimed lives indiscriminately. The suffering inside was immense. Even the children knew the terror, their innocence stolen by the ceaseless cannon fire and the specter of starvation. Defenders shared their meager rations, a silent pact of survival. Their resilience was truly tested by these hardships. 2 months of constant vigilance, constant fear. Exhaustion became the greatest enemy, pushing men to their limits. Casualties mounted, numbers dwindling. Hope began to flicker, yet the city's leadership refused to break. Despite the constant assault, the hunger, the fear, Vienna's defenders held their ground, an unwavering bulwark. Their resolve was a blazing flame against the encroaching darkness, a defiant stand against an empire's might. Even the besiegers paid a heavy price. Disease, desertion, and counterattacks had significantly thinned their ranks. The initial overwhelming force was now reduced to approximately 40,000 combat-effective troops. Their momentum waned. The siege tightened to its breaking point. Vienna braced as the remaining Ottoman forces prepared for one final, devastating assault. Europe stood on the precipice, teetering on the edge of Ottoman conquest. Vienna's fate hung by a thread. Across the continent, desperate calls for salvation echoed. Leaders faced an existential threat unlike any before. One man, the Lion of Lechistan, Jan III Sobieski, answered the desperate pleas. Europe's last hope emerged. Forging an alliance of disparate nations was an unprecedented challenge, fraught with political intrigue and ancient rivalries. Diplomatic challenges were immense. Suspicion and self-interest threatened to doom any unified European response. Yet, driven by the Holy See and shared fear, reluctant leaders began to consider the impossible alliance. In Poland, the legendary winged Hussars mustered, their very presence a symbol of defiance and power. From across Central Europe, fragmented forces began their arduous journeys, answering the desperate call for Vienna. Duke Charles of Lorraine, a seasoned commander, led the Austrian contingents. Their resolve, though tested, remained firm. German princes, often wary of unified action, found themselves compelled to contribute against the looming threat. Despite historical animosities, a common enemy forged an improbable coalition. The fate of Christendom depended on it. Logistical nightmares plagued every step. Supplying an army of 80,000 men across vast distances proved Herculean. Thousands of tons of provisions, powder, and equipment had to traverse treacherous terrain. Every mile was a victory. Soldiers from myriad nations, speaking different tongues, learned to coexist. Their shared mission slowly transcended differences. Sobieski's charisma and diplomatic skill were crucial. He bridged divides, uniting proud and independent commanders. Rivers became formidable obstacles. Crossing the Danube and other waterways required ingenious planning and immense effort. Every strategic decision was a gamble. The race against time meant swift, decisive action was paramount. The combined army swelled to an improbable 80,000. A formidable force, its unity a testament to resolve. With Vienna drawing nearer, the weight of their mission pressed heavily. Anticipation mingled with an unsettling dread. The Polish Hussars, shock cavalry of legend, were the spearhead. Their formidable charge could turn the tide. Heavy artillery, vital for siege breaking, moved at a snail's pace. Every cannon transported was a testament to sheer will. Miles of cavalry, thousands strong, formed a mobile, devastating force. Their power, once unleashed, would be absolute. The steadfast infantry, the backbone of any army, endured the punishing march. Their discipline was unwavering. Each tattered banner, each weary step, represented the colossal effort to save a continent from impending doom. Intelligence on Ottoman positions was crucial. Scouts risked all, gathering vital information for the coming confrontation. In their darkest hour, faith became a powerful unifying force. Prayers rose for victory, for salvation, for Europe. Vienna, a ghostly silhouette, still held out. Its valiant defenders clung to life, awaiting their improbable rescue. Every passing hour brought Vienna closer to collapse. The relief army's arduous journey was a race against oblivion. Finally, after weeks of relentless marching, the combined forces reached their assembly points, poised above Vienna. Sobieski surveyed his improbable army, a testament to sheer European will. He had forged Europe's last hope. The weight of a continent's fate rested squarely upon his shoulders. Victory was the only acceptable outcome. The eagle's descent was complete. Above Vienna, the combined forces stood ready to deliver Europe's final blow. One unified force, an improbable alliance, now prepared for glory. The salvation of Vienna and Europe hung in the balance. Across treacherous terrain, a desperate force arrived. Kahlenberg Hill, a silent sentinel, became their bastion of hope. Every step was a struggle, every climb a testament to their resolve. They conquered the mountain before the enemy. Below, the vast Ottoman siege tightened its grip on Vienna. The relief army held the city's last, desperate chance. Strategic deployment was paramount. Sobieski and his generals meticulously planned every move, anticipating Ottoman resistance. A multinational force, a tapestry of nations united. Each contingent found its battleground on the challenging slopes. Unbeknownst to many, the enemy was already near. Ottoman scouts, initially dismissive, soon reported ominous movements. Reports flowed in, slowly confirming the impossible. The relief army, against all odds, had reached the hallowed ground. Cannons, vital for the assault, were dragged into position. Each heavy gun was a promise of thunderous retribution. Infantry, the bedrock of any assault, formed steadfast lines. Their resolve would pave the way through Ottoman defenses. The first skirmishes began. Probing attacks tested the enemy's lines, signaling the monumental battle to come. Pockets of fierce fighting erupted across the hills. The Ottomans, surprised, scrambled to meet the unexpected threat. Deep within his tent, Kara Mustafa Pasha received dire news. His siege was unraveling, a new enemy at his back. The terrain dictated the pace, but also offered cover. The fragmented assault began, slowly pushing down the slopes. Bavarian and Saxon regiments surged forward, engaging the elite janissaries. Every inch of ground was fiercely contested. Light cavalry clashed in a whirlwind of steel and speed. The preliminary engagements were brutal, yet critical for gaining ground. Sobieski's calm leadership was a beacon. He orchestrated the complex dance of war, preparing for the ultimate blow. With each advance, the momentum shifted. The combined forces pressed relentlessly, signaling their unstoppable intent. As night descended, a tense lull fell over the battlefield. Soldiers prepared, knowing dawn would bring total war. The long night gave way to a new dawn. Across the hill, thousands braced for the impending decisive confrontation. The king knew this day would be etched in history. His resolute stare embodied the collective will to triumph. Behind the lines, a terrifying force assembled. Cavalry from across Europe gathered for history's greatest charge. Austrian cuirassiers, a formidable force, positioned themselves. Their disciplined ranks prepared for the earth-shattering impact. German riders joined the growing ranks. A combined weight of nations poised to unleash unparalleled devastation below. The sheer scale was breathtaking. 18,000 mounted warriors formed an unstoppable living wave of steel. Sobieski, at the vanguard, delivered final orders. His words, a thunderous call to destiny, galvanized his loyal men. And then, the legendary winged Hussars. 3,000 strong, they were the spearhead of this colossal, desperate gamble. Their lances, a formidable hedge of steel, were raised. These elite warriors carried the hopes of a continent. The moment had arrived. With a roar that shook the hills, King Sobieski drew his sword, pointing towards victory. The drums began to pound, a primal rhythm echoing through the valleys. The world held its breath in agonizing anticipation. Commanders relayed the order. Across the vast formation, a unified determination hardened every warrior's face. The ground trembled. 18,000 horses, a living tide of steel and fury, coiled, ready to unleash hell. A final, collective breath was drawn. The fate of Vienna, indeed Europe, now rested upon this singular, epic moment. God with us! Sobieski's roar shattered the silence. The thunder began as history's largest cavalry charge surged forward. The moment of destiny arrived. Below, the Ottoman Empire's siege engines pounded, unaware of the impending storm. Jan Sobieski III, Poland's warrior king, surveyed the battlefield. His vision was clear: victory or ruin. This was it. The world's largest cavalry charge, a desperate gamble to save Vienna and Christendom itself. With a guttural roar, the earth trembled. The first wave, led by legendary winged Hussars, began its descent. A living avalanche of steel and muscle, gathering terrifying momentum with every thundering stride down Kahlenberg. 18,000 horsemen, a truly colossal force, poured down the mountain. An unstoppable tide of vengeance. Adrenaline surged. Each rider knew their part in this monumental charge, racing towards an uncertain fate. Below, exhausted Ottoman soldiers, weary from siege, suddenly glimpsed the impossible horror unfolding above. The terrifying whistling death sound of the Hussars' wings carried on the wind, a harbinger of doom. A monumental dust cloud, kicked up by thousands of hooves, engulfed the mountain. A truly terrifying spectacle. Their 6-meter lances, formidable and unbreakable, were lowered. A deadly forest of polished steel, fear mingled with resolve. These were Europe's finest shock cavalry, ready to sacrifice everything for freedom. The vast Ottoman camp buzzed with activity, unaware of the impending cataclysm. Their vigilance had lapsed. Not just Poles, but a united European force, thousands strong, followed the Hussars, a single, mighty fist. The ground trembled violently as this human and equine tsunami bore down. The very earth groaned in protest. Panic began to ripple through the Ottoman ranks. Commanders shouted desperate orders, but it was too late. Artillery, once aimed at Vienna, now faced an internal enemy. Many simply abandoned their posts, overwhelmed. The distance closed rapidly. The charging crescent of cavalry met the beleaguered Ottoman crescent in a terrifying embrace. The initial impact was devastating. Lances shattered, men screamed, and Ottoman lines buckled under the force. Barricades and hastily erected defenses offered little resistance. The charge simply ripped through them. Utter pandemonium. The Ottoman forward positions dissolved into a maelstrom of steel, fear, and blood. Like a spear, the Hussars pierced the Ottoman heart. Their discipline and ferocity were simply unmatched. Even the elite janissaries, stalwarts of the Ottoman Empire, found themselves outmatched and encircled by the torrent. The charge pushed deeper, tearing through the vast Ottoman camp. Resistance crumbled, yielding to the onslaught. A path of utter devastation was carved through the Ottoman army. The siege's backbone was irrevocably broken, the dream shattered. Ottoman soldiers, once proud besiegers, now broke and fled in complete, utter disarray. From his golden tent, Kara Mustafa Pasha witnessed the collapse. His imperial ambition turned to dust. A catastrophic rout ensued. The mighty Ottoman army, once at Vienna's gates, now fled for its very survival. The pursuing Allied cavalry harried the fleeing Ottomans, turning their desperate retreat into a crushing defeat. Banners fell. The symbol of an empire's ambition lay trampled in the dust. Its grand march halted. As dusk fell, the plain below Kahlenberg told a story of unprecedented victory and empire-altering defeat. Sobieski, exhausted but victorious, surveyed the immense spoils. Vienna was saved, the tide had turned, the siege was utterly broken. Vienna stood, a testament to a legendary charge that defied the greatest empire. As dusk descended, the Grand Ottoman army, once a formidable tide, broke and scattered into chaotic retreat. Their advance halted, discipline vanished. The once feared warriors fled desperately, discarding centuries of pride and crucial armaments across the plains. The magnificent Ottoman encampment, a temporary city of war, was abandoned in the dead of night. Its vast wealth lay exposed. For the exhausted, triumphant European forces, the scene was one of surreal victory. A dream made real on Vienna's doorstep. An empire's forgotten bounty. Weapons, silks, and provisions lay testament to the panic of a sudden, desperate retreat. The victorious European forces entered the abandoned camp, their shock mirroring the magnitude of this unexpected, total conquest. The siege, a crushing burden on Vienna for months, was finally and unequivocally broken. The city breathed anew. Starvation and despair yielded to elation. The people of Vienna saw their salvation, a new dawn rising over Europe. This decisive defeat at Vienna echoed across continents. It marked not just a battle's end, but an era's slow decline. The Ottoman Empire's relentless march into Central Europe, once seemingly unstoppable, was finally and definitively reversed. A new chapter began for Europe. The continent, once threatened, now stood poised for an unprecedented ascendancy and expansion. From Vienna's gates, a bold new European ambition emerged, charting a course for power and influence across the continent. The retreat continued for days, a harrowing, disorganized flight. An army's unraveling played out across the landscape. Elite units, once feared, now abandoned their sacred weapons. The psychological toll of defeat was utterly devastating. The harsh reality of retreat, countless wounded were left behind, their suffering a silent testament to total collapse. Within the opulent tents, a world of untold riches was discovered. Silks, jewels, and treasures amassed from conquests. The spoils of war were vast, material evidence of an empire's hasty departure, leaving behind its very identity. King Sobieski, the deliverer, stood triumphant. His cavalry charge had secured not just Vienna, but Christendom's future. Vienna stood. Its survival now symbolized a new European resolve, a steadfast resistance against imperial ambitions. Beyond the battlefield, Vienna ignited cultural and economic shifts. Europe's influence would now expand dramatically. The crescent waned, the sun rose. Vienna truly marked a pivotal moment, shaping the course of Western civilization. This single, brutal engagement transcended its immediate impact. It redefined the balance of power for centuries. Vienna secured Europe's destiny. The echoes of that cavalry charge forever altered the continent's march into modernity. The Battle of Vienna was more than a single clash. It forged a legacy, echoing through centuries of European history. Its significance extended far beyond the battlefield, reshaping the geopolitical landscape for generations to come. The victory dramatically altered the balance of power, solidifying the Habsburgs' influence and challenging Ottoman dominance. New alliances formed, old rivalries intensified, all within the shadow of Vienna's decisive moment. The battle propelled new powers onto the European stage, forever changing the continental power dynamic. It marked the definitive end of major Ottoman westward expansion, initiating a slow but inevitable decline. Vienna profoundly shaped national identities, forging enduring myths of heroism and collective purpose among diverse peoples. For Poland, it became a cornerstone of national pride, epitomizing their historical role as Europe's bulwark. The Habsburg monarchy consolidated its power, becoming a dominant force in Central Europe for centuries. It fostered a fleeting but significant sense of unity among disparate German states, united against the Ottoman threat. Vienna offered invaluable lessons in combined arms warfare, showcasing the synergy of cavalry, infantry, and artillery. The battle demonstrated the devastating effectiveness of coordinated cavalry charges, perfectly complementing infantry formations. It highlighted the critical importance of artillery support and the monumental logistical challenges of large-scale European campaigns. The legendary charge of the winged Hussars became an enduring symbol of courage, skill, and sheer military prowess. Vienna's enduring symbolic importance is profound, a timeless testament to a pivotal moment in civilization's defense. It was the turning point that irrevocably halted the Ottoman Empire's final, desperate advance into European heartlands. Had Vienna fallen, the trajectory of Europe and the entire Western world would have been profoundly different. The city stood as a crucial barrier, preventing an empire's final, decisive westward surge across the continent. The victory profoundly influenced the very trajectory of Western civilization, securing its future at a critical juncture. It preserved Europe's diverse cultural and intellectual identity, allowing it to flourish unhindered by foreign dominion. Vienna prevented the imposition of Ottoman political and cultural dominance, safeguarding European autonomy and self-determination. Its echoes resonate through history, reminding us how single battles can decide the fate of entire civilizations. The Battle of Vienna, a timeless legacy, forever etched into the foundations of Western civilization. The Battle of Vienna endures, a monumental testament to courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable human spirit against overwhelming odds. It was a testament to strategic genius, born from unity. Nations joined forces to defend a continent's future. Vienna, 1683. More than a battle, it was a turning point, etched forever into the annals of history. A pivotal moment where Europe's destiny teetered on the brink. One charge decided the fate of millions, for in Vienna, the very fate of a continent hung in the balance, a desperate gamble for survival. This was the day Europe was saved from a seemingly unstoppable empire. The cavalry charge changed everything. The sheer courage displayed by the defenders and rescuers resonated through centuries, inspiring future generations. Its message endures. Even against overwhelming odds, unity and resolve can overcome any challenge. If you're captivated by these epic tales of military history, subscribe to a leading analysis channel now. Join our community for deeper dives into pivotal moments that shaped the course of human civilization. If you found this historical journey compelling, show your appreciation. Hit that like button to support us. Your insights enrich our discussions. Share your thoughts, questions, and theories in the comments below. Help us grow this passion for history. Share this video with friends and family interested in the past. Together, we build a leading analysis channel community, preserving and understanding history's most dramatic chapters